Time to strap in for our next guest, who is bound to absolutely blow you away. He is a highly sought-after motivational speaker and performance coach, known by his clients as the Transformer. He is the Amazon best-selling author of How Would Love Respond? And he's next to join us on the Girlfriend Hour couch. Please put your hands together for the powerful Kurek Ashley.
Hey, Shar.
Hi.
Fantastic.
So good to see you.
Nice to be back.
Have a seat.
Wow. I'm a little surprised at the girlfriend hour. Why you guys have me, but anyways.
It's all about everyone, and it's about amazing people, which you are. Kurek, how does one become a successful coach?
Well, I would say first you have to be an ongoing student, just about life. And for me, it was just something very, very passionate about helping people fulfill their goals and dreams. And whenever you're passionate about something, the education of what you need to learn just kind of comes on board.
And now you've been given the nickname as Transformer.
Yeah.
That's a big nickname because taking someone from here to there. So how did that actually come about? I'm sure there's a story there.
Well, it's because I turned into a robot from a car. No, actually, Steve McLaughlin, who produced the movie I, Robot with Will Smith, and Marty Weiss, who's a big writer for Disney. Marty's daughter came home in Beverly Hills. She was 14 years old, had a Mexican accent. He thought it was funny originally until it kept going for weeks and weeks, and turns out she runs away. He finds out she's joined a Mexican gang, which is very prevalent now in Beverly Hills because they've glamorized through Hollywood and stuff what being a gang member looks like. And he had to send her to a deprogramming camp for 2 months 2 years rather in Montana. And so they said, we got to create a show to help kids because this is a big problem. And Steve said, well, there is only one. It's Kirk, and so the show's called The Transformer, and it's kind of been tagged on me. So
that's brilliant. What a story, and what a great line of work that you do. But what do you love most about it?
I think I have the best job in the world. I get to watch people fulfill their dreams. I mean, it's you watch people who don't even believe they can do it themselves and then produce something that's just amazing and then become inspirational for other people. And one of the things I think I've gotten famous for here in Australia is taking the women's beach volleyball team to win gold medals at the Olympics. And not a bad job, girls in bikinis, and they paid me for it. So.
I love that.
I feel like Elvis.
Yeah.
The bald Elvis, that is.
Yeah. What's the number one thing, like when you're working with clients, there's a lot of inner voices. What do you think is the number one thing that holds people back from achieving their goals? Is it that they're scared of actually getting them, winning them?
No, it's actually telling stories. People are famous for telling the stories of, I was raped, I'm a victim, this happened to me, I was abused as a kid. But stories create what I call drama glue. They keep you stuck in your story. And
drama glue. Did everyone hear that? Drama glue. I like that.
Yes. And then how many people here have people in your lives that's all they want to do is tell you their drama story. So then we're stuck listening to it. That's drama glue. Yes. And so, and then afterwards you have to leave and go home and take a shower. And people are, what is that? It's drama glue. I got to wash it off me. It's... because then you're stuck in your story and it becomes your story, but it's not even the truth. It's an edited interpretation of what you think happened. Instead, start telling the empowering stories about, the successes you had in your life and the places you're going to go in your life. I mean, everybody goes through the same stuff. Everybody's got dramas, and everybody went through COVID drama and GFC and all this stuff. But successful people, we learn how to manage how we think and feel differently about those things. So like during the GFC, when people were freaking out and selling their businesses at their homes, successful people were buying them because they were cheaper.
Yes.
So it's just managing how you think and feel differently.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. There's so many great points. I hope you're writing this down if you're at home and not driving while watching this, of course.
I hope you're filming this. This is like some of my best content.
People talk about bad moods. And, I've had many a conversation, and I've probably said it, I'll be honest. Anyone else here said it, someone put me in a bad mood. How do we deal with that when people say to you, I'm in a bad mood, or someone has put me in a bad mood? How do you deal with that with your clients, and how do you help everyone get out of it?
Well, it's funny when you say other people did that. I mean, again, it's people love giving their responsibility away to others.
Yes.
You know, my mom, my dad, my brother, my whatever. You know, my sister didn't talk to me for 20 years because she was pissed off I was successful, because I've always been known as the weird one in the family, but it's the weird ones that change the world. So I actually like that title.
Oh, I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah, right.
But it's, you know, the first thing you have to do is take responsibility. And the word responsibility means the ability to choose how you respond. So if you look at the word, it's right there in the word. When you choose a new response, you get a new result. Yes. And so that's the one thing we start looking at, is that everything I teach is based on the laws of physics, cause and effect. Right? So that means every result that you want is there's some action or series of actions that will produce that. So we just start looking for what will produce this result and then start putting it into action. It's not that challenging. Makes me look brilliant because it always seems to work, but it's all cause and effect.
My head is just going a million miles an hour now. And so if someone's watching at home, or anyone here in the audience maybe, and they've been in a bad mood for some reason, what tips do you have for them? How do they get out of it?
Oh, easy. The game changers, you know, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your communication. And the quality of your communication is determined by the quality of questions that you ask. So start asking better questions, like, what am I grateful for today? By the way, if you're grateful, it shows the love that you have for everything you have in your life. You know, and if you don't have gratitude, your creator says, why would I give you anything else when you don't appreciate what I've already given you, which is everything?
Great point.
And the other thing is what's great about this? So as you know, Shar, I've known you a long time, is in 1989, I was doing a movie with Chuck Norris. I used to play bad guys in the movies. People go typecasting. And I was in a helicopter crash where 5 of my friends died. And for 2.5 years, I had a gun in my mouth and drugs up my nose. And, you know, because I was focusing on the worst part of what happened, including my best friend dying in my arms on fire. And so the question that changed my life was, what's great about this? And I know it's a really weird question when you're in the throes of drama and trouble, but I forced myself to get an answer. And the answer was, well, what's great about this? I lived. And at least my buddy died in my arms and not in a stranger's arms. And that I was here giving as much care to those people as could be possibly done. And I did save 2 people's lives that day. But see, when you're caught up in your drama, you don't focus on those good things. So by asking new, empowering questions, you're going to change your focus, and then that's going to change how you operate towards everything. It's not that difficult. I'm glad you paid so many of my friends to be in the audience. That's all.
It's not that difficult, yet so many people struggle with it. And, you know, here in Australia, if you're watching this around the world, here in Australia, we have a thing called tall poppy syndrome. And people really struggle with celebrating their wins because there might be something else going on in someone else's life that's quite difficult. And so I saw this during the pandemic, and it made me so sad that so many people shut down their good news, their award, their celebration of something they've achieved as a milestone, because I saw it happen. They would share it, and then people would say, how can you do that with the world going through blah, blah, blah? And I understand that people struggle, but there are also some great things. Why do you think we have this culture of when someone's doing something really great that we feel the need to pull them down? Is it because that person is so lonely and unhappy and hurt themselves maybe? Or what are your thoughts on this, Kurek?
Well, Shar, when you say why do people, there's 2 groups of people on the planet, the majority and the minority. Right? The majority of people, by the way, the most consumed drug on the planet are known as antidepressants. The successful people, again, like I said, and what I mean successful, it's holistically successful. It's successful in all areas of life, because what's important being rich if you're sick, or wealthy if you're lonely. It's having all of it. But successful people, we actually encourage each other. It's the masses. But if you read the Bible, and I'm not religious. My mom was Jewish. My dad was Christian. I was just really confused. Like, what are these people doing together? It didn't last long, trust me. But the thing is, if you read the Bible, nothing's really changed in 2,000 years. It's just the information travels faster. Some people get it. Most people don't. And it's the minority, the top of the pyramid, that actually changes the world. It's the majority that waits for it to be changed. So I would recommend that you hang out with more empowering people. You know, if you hang out with people who are naysayers and complaining about life and all the rest of that stuff, your life turns out to be that. If you hang out with people and people go, well, I don't have the access like you do, Kirk. I mean, man, you're friends with Sylvester Stallone and all these people. Like, wait a minute.
And Shar more.
But people don't understand is Sly's a guy. He's a person. And John Travolta,
Correct.
I've known John for a long time. They're people.
Correct.
But they're empowering people. And the reason I was living in my car and being invited to Stallone's house for Christmas, and people come up and they go, why do you have Kirk here? He's a loser. And I go, I'm right here. I can hear you.
Aww.
But Sly goes, you got no idea who this kid is because in his head, he's already a success. And it's just a matter of time that his results will catch up with his mindset. And so hang out with people who have that mindset. And if you can't do it in person, do it through autobiographies or biographies or whatever you can, podcasts, and start listening because then you'll adopt that mindset. And you won't be pulling people down. You won't let people pull you down because all successful people we've had to go up against the people who cut you down or try to cut you down. And I mean, like the guy at the party telling me I'm a loser in front of everybody. I'm like, okay, you can think whatever you want, but you got to remember they told Elvis at the Grand Ole Opry he should go back and drive a truck. Well, nobody remembers who told him that, but everybody remembers Elvis. So that's, you just got to cut the dialogue out of your head and move forward because all successful people, we have to be focused on where we're going and cut out the story.
That's why I love this guy.
I love being on this show. I feel like Elvis, all these women. It's
I
beautiful.
just think there's moments in your life where you work so hard and producing something like this isn't been easy and it's just those few words that you've just said that I'm going to rewatch this because they landed right here. Thank you.
And Shar, it's wonderful that you say that because people see a person like you and they think everything you touch turns to gold. Because we've known each other like 20 years.
Yeah.
I've been speaking at your events. I know the struggles that you go through, and certainly you want to put something on like this and everybody wants to shoot you down. But you got to remember is Oprah was a woman who was given birth by like a 13-year-old. I don't know if you guys understand this, she's a black woman. You guys know that? In America, land and a home and a free, except for if you're a person of color or ethnicity or something like that. And she believed in herself. She kept reinventing herself to become the most powerful person in TV history. And still to this day, but when she first had her show, it was a drama show, just like Jerry Springer. And then after the whole thing on Geraldo, where there was a big fight, she said, I'll never do a show that's not empowering anymore. Well, her ratings tanked. But because she had enough money, she kept her own show on until it became the hit of Oprah, And so you have that, but we have to cut out the people who are going to tell you can't make it because that's the majority.
Absolutely.
They're just trying to pull you back into the hole. Instead of being inspired to get out, they'd rather pull you back.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Now, motivation is not something. Thank you.
I like it.
Yeah.
I have one. She thought, is that Vin Diesel?
Motivation is something that we all often look for and sometimes we can't find. And when you're not a transformer, you're a human being. How do you find motivation on days where you would just really rather stay in bed?
I think he's here. There he is. There's my son.
Yay!
And that is my inspiration. My mom was dying of cancer. Like I said, my mom was Jewish. So when she was dying of cancer, I called her up and she said, save your money. Don't fly home. I go, Mom, I'm coming home. Just don't die just yet. And on her deathbed, after spending 10 days with her, she opened her eyes and said, have babies. I said, Mom, now? They got nothing else to... And I said, I promise. You know what? And she said, but I go, you got to stay around to see him. She goes, don't piss me off. Just have him. That was her cancer voice, And so I said, I promise. And so it took me 50 years to get ready to have my son. And he is the thing that gets me up every day. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. Aww. And I find my mom and my dad in him every day. It's he's there. And he keeps me going. And he keeps me on track because I'm a real guy. A couple of years ago, my last wife had an affair and blah, blah, blah with a friend of mine and, really took me down. And I said to him, buddy, I'm down, but you're going to see me turn this around on how I do it. Because that's the best lesson I can teach you is real life experience. Because I'm a real guy. I believe God puts me through this stuff just so I have better seminar stories,
I love that. I love that. And our kids are very much our motivation and our best life's witnesses as well. You know, they watch and see everything that we do and don't do. And they do hold us to task. I certainly have a few that do that as well.
Oh, and he keeps me humble.
Yes.
He said, Dad, what's your hair look like when you grow it out? I said, it's kind of, because I shaved it for a movie called Airheads with Adam Sandler's first film. And it became my look. And I said, oh, it's salt and pepper. And so I grew it out one weekend and he goes, Dad, it's all salt. There's no pepper. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. Kurek, what are some of the daily habits that you practice yourself or teach your clients that you might be able to share with everyone here and watching at home today?
Every morning when you wake up, you have an empty tank, right? And if you walk out into society and your tank's empty, don't be surprised people throw their garbage in your empty tank. So every morning I fill myself up with feeling good. So I read affirmations, I read my goals every day. I have what I call my identity statements, which is my I am statements. I exercise, I meditate, I do all these things to take care of me first so that when I walk out the door, by the way, when your tank's filled up, there's just no room for other people's garbage and it just doesn't bother you the same way anymore. So invest in yourself. And then throughout the day, I just, I'm busy like everybody else. Not only do I have a business, I'm a dad, I have a farm. And yes, I work the farm by myself. I don't really grow a whole lot. Like weeds, I'm really good at growing weeds.
Me too.
Throughout the day, I just take a moment and I do 6 deep breaths to just clear the slate so that you're not wearing it all day long. And then after a certain hour, I shut down. I don't do any business. I don't want to talk about business. I don't get on social media. I just spend time with myself and my son and my partner and the rest of those things and take care of myself, because if you let yourself run down, how are you going to help anybody else out? If you don't have self-love, every issue we have is a self-love issue, because when you really love yourself, would you allow yourself to stay poor? Would you inject drugs? Would you be an alcoholic? Would you smoke cigarettes? Well, that's not how love responds. Love would want you to have everything you want so that you can, but whatever we're filled with, you're going to spread to everybody around you. So fill yourself up with self-love. And it's funny how people backstage were saying, God, you're such a loving, giving guy. And I go, it's because I fill myself with love every day.
You've got enough to give everyone else.
Because it's abundant.
Yeah.
Love is abundant.
Absolutely.
But
give it up for Kurek Ashley. How amazing. Kurek, fantastic. We have a fun segment now called Time Out. Time Out is going to help everyone start to think to travel again. So, Kurek, if you're up for the challenge,
let's go.
We are going to ask you some fun rapid-fire travel questions. Nothing risque, I promise. Maybe. What's the most enlightening thing your travels have taught you?
That people around the world are all the same. No matter where you go, people are people. Everybody has love. Everybody has laughter. A smile means smile. Everybody's family. What makes us different is what makes us unique.
Yeah, I like that.
So wherever I go, I'm home. Because if I die, I want to die at home. So wherever I go, I make it my home. And I've been all over the world.
That's awesome, isn't it? I love that. I love that so much. What's the best or weirdest souvenir you've ever purchased?
Best or weirdest souvenir? Well, I have a magnet that's still on my fridge. I got it in Malaysia, and it says, Jesus called, he wants his religion back. It was the weirdest thing to find in Malaysia, of all places, but I keep it on my fridge. I don't know, it's weird, but I don't know what else I buy really weird.
Yeah, sometimes you buy those holiday purchases, and they're great when you're there and you get home and go, okay.
Well, I have bought some of those like Chinese hats,
yes.
And they're great when you're over there or in Bali or whatever, and then you get on the plane with it, you can't fit in the overhead, and you get home and there's no way you're gonna ever wear that in public again. So that's probably one of those things.
That's one of those ones. What's a dream vacation spot for you?
I love Hawaii, always have. I've been there many times. Hawaii is just one of those amazing places, but living on the Sunshine Coast, it's like having a much bigger Hawaii, which is awesome.
Yeah. Perfect. Love that. What's the first thing that you do when you get home from traveling?
Well, because I live on a farm and the rest of those things is just get on the front deck and look at the views and breathe it all in. Again, I go to gratitude and just appreciate the life that I have and the rest of those things. Traveling's wonderful, and also being home's wonderful. And I think to have a good balance of both.
Yes, definitely. What's the longest road trip you've ever done?
Oh, Elijah and I just did it last year. We went to Uluru, and then drove 3,000 kilometers up to Darwin and stops along the way. I will say Tennant Creek is not the most glamorous city to live in, but a friend of mine lives there. And then the funniest thing is, we land in the Sunshine Coast Brisbane about 2 a.m, driving home, and about 10 kilometers away from the house, a kangaroo hits the front of my vehicle and wipes out the front of my truck.
Oh, no.
3,000 kilometers, didn't hit a mosquito, and wiped out my truck.
No. Oh my gosh, lucky you're both safe. What's the longest?
Oh, he slept through it.
Oh, he slept through it.
we got out of the car and he goes, Dad, what happened to the front of the truck? I go, "Could it be the kangaroo we hit?" He goes, "What kangaroo?"
You're a great sleeper.
Yeah.
I love that. Love that. What's the longest plane ride you've ever done?
To Paris. And the reason I say that is my first wife and I got sick in Hong Kong and then got over it. She got on a plane. The moment we took off, she got sick. And for 15 hours, was vomiting and the rest of those things. It was by far the longest plane ride. But I think time-wise was when I went to the Philippines to go do Delta Force 2 with Chuck Norris. And that was like 17 hours from L.A.
Oh, that's a long trip.
Yeah.
Apart from your book, of course, but what's your favourite book to read during a long trip?
I would love to respond.
Yeah.
My favorite book of all times is called Illusions by Richard Bach, who wrote Jonathan Livingston Seagull. And it's about a modern-day Messiah. It's a great book. It's a short little book. And a friend of mine, it turns out, just wrote the script in Hollywood for it to be made as a movie, which now I might have to go back and be in it. I'm not. I'm retired.
What's the most romantic place you've ever visited?
Wherever I am.
Great answer.
Most romantic place is Paris. It is romantic whether you're with a partner or not. It just has that feel about it, the cobblestone streets and the architecture. And like I said, my wife at the time was sick, so I went walking around by myself, and it's just an amazing city. Wow. I will say that French people would appreciate if you try speaking some French to them. As soon as I tried, they're like, "Dude, we speak English. You're really messing this up. But thanks for trying." Yeah.
That's great. And 3 things that you always travel with.
I have a Swiss Army knife that I was given at my first paid speaking event.
Oh.
This is like 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago. I was like 4 when I started. And they gave it to me and said, "Hey, you know what? You're going to change the world. And so this you're going to take," and I bring it with me everywhere, and it always gets used. So it has, sewing kit, everything in it. It's got everything in it. And what else do I always take with me? I always take 2 copies of my book.
Yes.
To make sure I give them away to somebody in need or want, and they're always gone.
Yes.
And a toothbrush.
Toothbrush.
Yeah, you always got to brush your teeth.
Absolutely. Totally.
Everybody brush your teeth.
Yeah. What gives you an adrenaline rush now?
Well, besides waking up, I'm thrilled.
Made it. Right side of the grass.
The hardest thing you have to do every day is wake up. Yes. Ask anybody who didn't make it today. They'll tell you that's a big one. So waking up, and then, my son fires me up. And then the reason people procrastinate is they have impotent goals. Their goals just don't fire them up. I always set what I call your grand dream goals. Those are the goals that give you the most amount of joy to experience. They don't have to be big or expensive. They can be, but that's not the criteria. It's the ones that give you the most amount of joy. That's what gets you up and fired up to work on your day and go at it.
Love that. Amazing. How fantastic is Kurek? Please give him a big thank you. You're amazing.
And can I tell him? I have a book for him. Oh, yeah, great.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
It's never too late to become a cover girl. We're looking for incredible women to be profiled in our upcoming issue of Feminescence magazine. Share your story with an international audience, unlock new opportunities, inspire a new network of supporters. It's time to back yourself. We can't wait to hear about the magic that is you. Visit feminescence.com.au to find out more. Come on, what are you waiting for? Carpe diem, girlfriend.